What up?
What's up, my guy?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Just another Thursday. Weekend is
Are
coming.
you rested? Are you rested?
I had the best sleep of my year, this very short year, last night. I got a whole 7 hours of sleep. That never happens.
Are you ready for this mind jiu-jitsu I'm going to put you through today with some of the fun topics we have, talking quarterbacks, talking NFL games. We got a lot of fun stuff. And then your buddy, I know you're excited. I feel like he's one of us now. He's going to join us here in a little
My
bit.
brother from another, Mr. Maximus Aurelius Starks. I call
Big
him
Man
anyway.
Chronicles.
Max.
Big
Aurelius.
Man Chronicles.
Big Man Chronicles.
Like
I
if
always
we
count on him to tell me something new that he ate that was amazing. I can always count on him for football analysis. Can also count on him to talk about what's new in the symphony world and the arts. He's so well versed in so many things. Happy to have him on later on in the show. But
if the three of us did a Gus Macker together, like a 3-on-3 tournament, there's no points in the paint. There's like we're like the Bash Brothers and the Mighty Ducks. We are just destroying everybody who comes anywhere near that rim.
Right, and it might not necessarily be good defense, but it will be a hard foul at minimum.
We will take all five. You will feel it. We will feel it.
Dude, like the hits keep on coming this week. We college football is losing another one of their star coaches. You're not too upset about it, obviously. You roll your eyes.
I'm upset, but not for the reason. I'm upset, but not for the reasons you would think. You go ahead. You go ahead and talk about the booger. Go talk about the booger picker eating, sleeping over at kickers' houses. Weirdo.
Mr. Jim Harbaugh.
Mr. Jim Harbaugh
is going
Michigan man
to the Chargers. Great situation, I think, for both. Regardless of how you feel about him and his antics and whatnot, the dude has proven to be a great coach.
You know who he is? He's that gif of the dude with who is it, John C. Reilly, where he's like,
yeah,
mouth is always agape.
He's always open. It is always open. But the dude can coach his butt off. He's had success.
He's a good coach.
He's a good coach, and he's going to a Charger team that is always the team that has all the talent that never comes to fruition. They lose every close game, and it's been like that ever since, like for multiple coaches, since way back when Marty Schottenheimer took them 14-2 and got fired the year after. I think it's the curse of Schottenheimer is what they've been on lately because they fired him because they lost in the first round after going 14-2. 14-2. Can you imagine getting fired after going 14-2?
So I have a lot of thoughts on Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers that we're going to dive into. You bringing up Marty Schottenheimer, I first have to tell you. So Marty Schottenheimer was the coach for the Browns.
Right.
And one of my uncles looked nothing like the rest of my family. So like my mother's side of the family, my grandmother from Mexico, right?
Uh-huh.
One of my uncles, like straight ginger, looked like Marty Schottenheimer. So we used, like everybody always joked and called him Marty's kid. Like my grandmother had an affair with Marty Schottenheimer in Cleveland.
Has that been confirmed that it has not happened? I mean, do you guys know for sure?
No, because he also chokes in big games.
Oh, yes.
But
this is true. But I think this hire may get them over the hump. And obviously,
I don't think so.
Well,
I don't think so. 9 years is a long time to be away from the NFL, and the NFL has changed quite a bit.
But, I mean, and he knows it. I think he understands it. He won at Michigan, which college football has changed just as much as the NFL.
He cheated.
Let's
put the caveat on there. He cheated.
He just
admitted at this point.
I think he just got caught. I think everybody in college does this, or at least some form of it, of sign stealing or whatever. But they just got caught. Well, but regardless, even after it was found out that what's his name, Connor
Stallions. That dude is doing cameos. Did you know that? He's doing cameo videos.
I mean, that's fantastic.
He's doing cameo videos wearing the Michigan National Championship hat. The balls on that guy. Dude, like be recording videos.
It's better these days to be infamous than it is to be good. at your job.
Jesus.
You much better. You make more money being infamous than you do actually being good. And so he's taking full advantage. Go ahead, do your thing, Connor.
Those are Herculean-sized balls to be out there doing cameo videos after what just happened up there.
They still won. They beat Alabama.
They did.
He sent Nick Saban into retirement, and he beat up on Washington. They beat the mess out of Washington. So
he physically beat up Washington. Yeah, they physically beat up Washington.
They physically beat up.
So they beat them on the offensive and defensive line.
To your point, I think whatever he's using because by all accounts, Michigan is pretty old school the way they played the game this year. That team, their success was pretty contingent on the run game and stopping the run. And granted, the NFL is kind of straight away, but still at the base of it, the teams that are left in the Final Four in the NFL, all of them, with the exception of maybe Detroit, have really good defenses. And Baltimore and San Francisco run the ball well. So I think that method, albeit it's not as flashy as most of the teams that do it now, not the Miami Dolphins of the world or whatever, but I think his approach can work in today's NFL. But bottom line, at bare minimum, they're going to be much better than they have been under Brandon Staley and the coach before him.
Trey, you realize I could have walked in the door and coached that team better than Brandon Staley.
I mean, yeah. The dude he didn't do the greatest of jobs, but I think they hit a home run with this hire, and I think Harbaugh this is the best chance he has at making and winning a Super Bowl is with the team. Out of all the job openings this week or this year, that was the best chance I think he has at immediate success. What do you think?
Trying off the top of my head to think of the job openings again. I don't know because I thought Atlanta was intriguing because that division is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need we just saw with Tampa Bay. You just got to get into the playoffs first and foremost. It's going to be harder to make the playoffs in the division that he joined.
Yes.
First and foremost, let me preface all this by saying I think Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. He's a fine coach. But I'm annoyed by the revisionist history that people are applying to his situation. People act like he left he left the 49ers after going to the Super Bowl to take the Michigan job. No, he passed on the Michigan job a few times before finally taking it. It was after the 49ers bottomed out that I've always given Jim Harbaugh credit for one thing. He is as savvy as it comes an opportunist. And I think that's what him going to the Chargers is. There's zero expectations for the Chargers, ever. They're like the Jacksonville Jaguars of the West. Just make the playoffs. Win a playoff game. They don't even have their sights set on Super Bowl. They don't even have a stadium. They pay rent to the Rams. They have no fans. The bar is so low for the Chargers in LA. The Chargers of San Diego was a different story. San Diego loved their Chargers. But the Chargers of LA, the bar is so low for what he needs to accomplish there for it to quote unquote be successful. And where I think, to your point, I think what you were getting at, the roster is a very good roster. It's getting older, but it's still a very good roster. You have pieces on defense if they can stay healthy. You have obvious pieces on offense. You have your quarterback in place. But I don't like the revisionist history that's applied to Harbaugh. Now you hear Adam Schefter give the report about how, well, Jim Harbaugh won his championship and he's going back to the NFL because he realizes that he can't win a Super Bowl in college. No, Jim Harbaugh would have went back to the NFL 2 years ago if the Vikings would have offered him the job. The Vikings said, no, thank you. We'll take Kevin O'Connell instead. They never gave him an offer. He was ready to jump ship back then. He is an opportunist. He's leaving Michigan at the right time. They're losing most of their roster. They're going to have a tough schedule next year. They play Texas. They play USC. They come to Columbus next year with half of Alabama's roster now on Ohio State. Here, let's mark this in the annals of Pod Me Up history, and we'll pull the tape if we need to. If you're willing to take on this wager, I will make it with you. Michigan will not be bowl eligible next year.
They'll be bowl eligible.
If they're bowl eligible, it's because they're one of those 5 and 7 teams that got in because of their academic success. They will not win more than 6 games.
Well, I think they will, but that's beside the point. I think every coach would take this opportunity. I mean, yes, every coach is somewhat of an opportunist. And Jim Harbaugh.
They would, but they were going to be bad if Harbaugh stayed. And now he's got his natty. He's able to get out the door and say, hey, I delivered on what I promised.
Mm-hmm.
I brought you the national championship. I'm a Michigan man. I restored the program. I'm going to go back to the NFL. But the truth of the matter is he'd have gone back to the NFL 2 years ago if the Vikings would have offered him a contract, and they never did.
Probably so. But, I mean, he's earned his way into having the situation where he can pick and choose whether he wanted to stay or whether he wanted to take this opportunity with the Chargers. And I think everybody thought that this was the perfect place for Jim Harbaugh, and he has his quarterback. And to say that is revisionist history, yes, he left San Francisco, but they were like 8-8, and they were having quarterback issues.
Well, they were 4-12 his last year.
I thought they were just 8-8.
Maybe they were. They were bad.
But I mean, he was only there 4 years, and they went to the NFC Championship 3 out of those 4 years. And then that last year, he had all that controversy with Colin Kaepernick had lost Alex Smith and the contract issues and whatnot. So,
until they started cheating, he was about to get fired at Michigan. He took his ball and went home. He refused to play Ohio State. You can call it what you want. There's no bigger bitch move than we're not going to play you at all.
Dude, you are so salty, and I love it. I love it.
I am, and not at him. Again, he's an opportunist. I get it. He is an opportunist. I'm mad at Ryan Day. You allowed this to happen. You allowed him to go out on top. You blew it.
You guys better fix it next year. It won't even matter, though. If once you guys beat up on Michigan, all Michigan is going to say is that, you had to wait till Jim Harbaugh left.
Yes, that's why. That's why I'm angry. 100% why.
You guys got to deal with that. But let's welcome to the stage my brother from another. Let's see what he thinks about all this stuff with Jim Harbaugh going to the Chargers. My guy, my brother, Max Starks.
Maximus! Hey, guys.
Welcome, Maximus.
I know. Sorry. My grand piano is being worked on, so that's why it's not in the background.
Oh, okay. I was wondering.
I was counting on you to class us up a little bit today.
Yeah. How are we, guys? How are we? What's the topic du jour?
We're good, man. Roddy over here is all in his feelings about Jim Harbaugh going to the Chargers
going out on top.
He went out. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. Left Michigan.
He did.
He's losing a lot of talent, and he's going to a place where they have a quarterback, a franchise quarterback already. It can be a more fortuitous situation. He wants that. He has his national championship in college. Now he wants a Super Bowl, obviously, in the NFL. And so, good move or bad move? Jim Harbaugh going to the Chargers, Max?
Considering the sanctions that are probably going to be dropped on Sharon Moore's head, good move for Jim Harbaugh, bad for University of Michigan.
He gets out scot-free.
Yeah. I mean, my buddy sent me a meme talking about Jim Harbaugh talking to Sharon Moore as a picture of Bane. Remember at the opening of Dark Knight? Like, he's like, someone has to be here with the body. Or with the he just drops out of the back of the airplane.
I have quite a few Michigan fan buddies, and they weren't happy with me this morning when I put it, I think, on Facebook and on Twitter, the Sharon Moore when he gets his first win as a head coach against Arkansas State, and it was like Will Smith in The Pursuit of Happiness crying, this is what happiness is.
That's exactly what's going to happen. He will forever be known as that guy that coached that game and cried afterwards because Harbaugh missed 1 day of work. I mean, he missed 1 day of work.
He flew on the plane with the team.
He was at the Hampton Inn.
Airplane. It was less than 24 hours after that happened. And it was a detainment. He didn't go to a rehab facility. He didn't have ER surgery.
Right.
He didn't lose a limb.
He was right back as the head coach on Monday. Or it was Sunday, watching film, breaking down film.
He was probably like Jason Kelsey at the Bills game. He was probably tailgating with Michigan fans at Penn State and watching the game in somebody's RV.
Shirts off, everything. I can definitely see him doing that.
It's like, no, my name is him Harbaugh. You know,
it's a nice mustache you have there.
Yeah, exactly. Sir, I don't believe I've seen that nose eyeglass combo before.
Speaking of new coaches, Max, us Steelers, we have a decision to make at the OC position, man. A lot of interesting names out there. I went through mine early this week. I have an affinity for, especially in this situation that we're in, bringing in somebody that commands respect as soon as they walk in the door. So I am leaning towards a Brian Greasy or a Byron Leftwich, maybe even a Eric Bieniemy, somebody that's going to come in and really challenge the discipline, that problems that we've had in that locker room. But I'm curious, if you had a top 3 list of OCs out there that you would want to bring on board, who would they be?
Ooh, okay. So I've been through this exercise a couple of times in my head. And I've talked myself out of a lot of them that were popular, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I talked myself. I had Brian Greasy up there because everybody else had Brian Greasy. But I would rather see another guy on the San Francisco coaching charts, and I would say Clint Kubiak over Brian Greasy. Here's why I say over Brian Greasy. Brian Greasy's only been coaching for 3 years.
Right.
Period. And he has no prior experience, broadcaster before that, never called plays. So I don't know if I necessarily want to put the keys in a very pivotal year, in a very pivotal position and maturation process of my quarterback in a first-time OC's hands, like Brian Greasy. I would prefer a little bit more meat on the bone, a little bit more experience. And then also, where's Greasy going to draw his staff from? He hasn't played on any other staffs, and more than likely, San Francisco is going to retain almost all of their staff that doesn't get hired away as a head coach. So that's where I struggle with that, whereas Clint has been in an OC before. He's been on a couple of different staffs. His tentacles run a little bit longer. His dad, Gary, also has a good extended network. So I look at that and I say, okay, that's one that has not been mentioned, right? Because they're still playing.
I mentioned Clint. That was my first choice, actually. But we're on the same page. I got you.
Okay. Well, I'm picking up what you're putting down. You gave me 3 other names and said my top 3.
Actually, the very first one I named
and then tell me that was actually my first choice.
All right. Who else you got?
No, I love Byron. I think Byron would be a great addition, just because, what Mike Tomlin looks for, he always looks for the former player perspective. And when you talk about commanding respect, demanding respect, Byron is all that. We played with Byron. We know how Byron is. And Byron brings a cachet not only as a player, but as a coach that has a Super Bowl championship under his belt, right? That has worked with Tom Brady and has been the guy in a league that we've talked about that was a passing machine that understands the nuances of offenses. I think he gets a little bit of a bad stigma because of the last year with Tom. And there's a problem when you have an aging quarterback, all that falls on him when it's like, I'm calling the plays. I can't go out there and make people do the stuff. And also I'm trusting Tom to go out there and execute to the best of his abilities when he might not be mentally in the right place. You remember he's also going through the divorce stuff with Giselle at the time. He's going through those weird emotions.
Antonio was getting naked on the sideline.
Antonio, completely disrobed himself in New York. And so there's a lot of other – and I think he didn't get the true justice. And that's why B.A. came back, because he wanted to make sure his guys got a fair shake at it. And so I think Byron deserves another opportunity. I think he would be great for this system, especially with the youth and the relatability that he has with these players. And he understands the complexities of this organization and also what the Steeler way is, being a guy who was in that room on that side of the ball before. So I really like Byron. Another one, I know Brian Johnson just interviewed there.
Right.
Not a bad choice at all. I think he'd be a solid guy. But I would also venture to say I really do like, what Eric Bieniemy would present. Now I know he didn't get the best rep either because his O-line was trash. Sam Howell got sacked 60+ times. It did not look good, but I think the personnel wasn't there for Washington to do what Eric Bieniemy wanted to do. And I think he does need that fresh start and that fresh slate. I don't think he's going to get the head coaching job at Washington, and he's kind of fallen out of favor. I think this would be a great resurgence for him, and I would love to see that be something that could possibly spark us.
Max, is there anybody of the names, because I'll tell you who mine is, but is there anybody of the names that you look at that you're just like, that just wouldn't be a fit for Kenny, for this offense, for the pieces? Because coaches, Trey and I have talked before, I think coaches have a bad tendency of, instead of molding their system to the personnel and the players on the roster, they try to fit square pegs into round holes. And mine would be Kingsbury would not be the fit for the Steelers with the current roster and offense.
So, it's funny. I actually like Cliff. Cliff's not on our list, but I actually like Cliff for us because one of the things that I've had the advantage of by being out in Arizona for the last number of years, I've gotten to watch Cliff up close and personal. Cougs was on his staff, who was, one of our favorite offensive line coaches. So I've gotten to see that side, that personability. And I think Cliff, he has a bad stigma, right? He has a stigma, air raid. He was a Mike Leach quarterback. He went to Texas Tech and the Big 12 air raid system. But here's the funny thing. Every year that Cliff was a head coach for the Cardinals, their run game went up. They went from 23rd in the league when he took the job to 13 to being top 10 the last 2 years. So we think of him as, oh my God, he's going to pass it all over the place. Now, where I do think he needs to fine tune himself, and I think being just an OC would be a better choice because he has always been a head coach and he's always been in the primary dual role position. This will give him a chance to focalize and be one thing, and he'll have autonomy to make it as such by being just an OC, not a head coach / play caller, not a HCOC, and having to do dual things where he has to monitor his own staff, monitor the organization, be responsible to the players, try and gain a relationship with his quarterback he's trying to get to perform, and also having to be the judge and the executioner for also controlling the discipline. I think this gives him a scapegoat and takes out the wide range of player discipline, following your assistants and everybody else and having to keep up with them. It gives him one managerial role of just focusing on the offense. And I think he could be really great at that because I think he is a really good play caller, very good schematics guy. And he understands, and I've heard this in countless interviews, you must run to open up the pass. And that's a philosophy that for the Steelers holds very true. That's the axiom of this team. And that's why I think he would be interesting. And he would also get the benefit of mentoring under a Mike Tomlin who knows how to lead men, which I think he hasn't had that opportunity. It's been GA and boom. He's gone just straight up to the top without taking that incremental ladder approach. And I think that ladder is what he needs. He got knocked down a couple of rungs and he needs to climb back up it before he can get there. And that's why I think Kingsbury would be good.
Kind of reminds me of Lane Kiffin, like where Lane Kiffin was at when he went straight to NFL head coach and then college head coach, got knocked back down, Saban's assistant, and then has built back up to running a program at Ole Miss.
I think another name, Rody, that to answer your question, I know you asked Max about a guy that wouldn't be. I don't think Arthur Smith would be a good fit for this. No. I think his attitude would rub a lot of the young guys the wrong way, first off. And just seeing the fact that he did not use the weapons. You could say he didn't use the weapons well in Tennessee when he had A.J. Brown. Yeah. A.J. Brown wasn't what he is in Philly, obviously. I mean, it was easy to say hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. But the fact that offense never utilized A.J. Brown to his fullest potential. And then we all know how he wasn't able to use Kyle Pitts or Bijan in Atlanta. So that's another name that's been floating around that I think absolutely not when it comes to being an OC for us.
And his defense got a touchdown scored on him on a victory formation. You can't let that happen.
Yep. And Jameis actually has no respect for him. Jameis just wants to run.
Jameis had more respect for them crab legs he tucked under his arm in college.
He said, Max, I told Trey, I said, what Jameis Winston did there was what Jonathan Moxon did in Varsity Blues. Anybody got a problem with Wendell putting one in the end zone? Okay, line up. We're going to give it to Jamal Williams right now, and he's going to score.
Exactly. We're going to get this man his bonus.
Speaking of that, what's your go-to football movie? I meant to ask you before. We were talking about Varsity Blues, the program, Any Given Sunday. There's so many good ones, like from when I was younger, that they don't make them anymore, and they need to start making them again.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Varsity Blues is just such a classic one, man, because we can all relate. Like, it hits all of the notes. You know what I'm saying? Like
high school football,
Friday Night Lights and everything else. Like, that's just that was high school. Trying to figure out how we could drink. You know, figuring out what girl was cute like me and I like them. Trying to get away with underage things.
I love whipped cream now because of Varsity Blues. Whipped cream is my favorite dessert now because of Varsity Blues.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but Billy Bob, puke and rally. I mean, just
give me a shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, what about the program, though, man? What about, I know what this says. This says Adidas.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
He's seat at the table. Woo!
I mean, the program was one. It was very like, you remember, it was before Ballers, the show on ESPN, right? I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Playmakers.
It reminded me of, like, it kind of gave me that vibe, whereas it had the intensity, but then it was kind of just sensationalized on some of the bad.
Top.
Yeah. And so that's where I struggle with watching the program. Because, I mean, I'll always watch it if it comes on. I mean, but I'm like, I want to see Varsity Blues. I want to see Necessary Roughness.
Yeah.
Dude, Necessary Roughness is an underrated.
That's underrated.
It's an underrated one.
Listen, but the most unbelievable character was definitely Sinbad as a football player. I just want to
and Cindy Crawford is a field goal kicker.
Yeah,
My word.
I mean, I'd be her long snapper.
What about the replacements?
Like, those are my two favorite. I mean, Waterboy is a good one.
I was about to bring up Waterboy.
Yeah,
That's a classic. What about the replacements with?
Replacements. That was
Neo himself.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Longest Yard was another funny one because both.
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah, the newer one.
The new one was really good.
Not the Burt Reynolds one. That one was a little bit too much. But the new one, I mean, like, you had Stone Cold. I mean, you had so many guys in there that was just a fun movie to watch. So yeah,
it was like
probably a couple of go-tos.
Remember the Titans?
Was
such an underrated movie.
Yeah,
and
fantastic,
emotional,
emotional, but yes.
Actually,
but you know what?
Was fantastic, man. I think that's
it was great.
Yeah,
but it's hard for me to see Hayden Panettiere all grown up now because I still see her as the little girl yelling in the stands at her father for not stopping the other team.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a classic one as well, and that's one that when it comes on, you kind of stop. You're like, no matter what point of the movie, you know where to pick it up, and it's not like, oh my god, I didn't see the beginning, I can't watch this. It's like, no, I'll catch it wherever it lands.
Yeah.
So you need one quarterback to lead you on a drive for the game-winning drive. Is it Jonathan Moxon, Joe Kane from the program, Willie Beeman, or another quarterback from one of those
Adam
movies?
Sandler from the Longest Yard.
Depends on if he's got money on it.
Yeah, that's right, because he does gamble.
Yeah.
You know who I'm gonna go with? I'm gonna go with Shane Falco, man. Go with Shane Falco from The Replacements.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a good bow-legged quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like
Falco was kind of Tim Tebow. He didn't put up a lot of flashy stats during the game, but you gave him the ball at the end of the game. His old left-handed ass will lead you down the field.
What about Sunshine?
Sunshine from Remember the Titans was cool, but no, I need
Shane Falco's a good go-to.
Give me Falco.
Yeah, he's probably got the clutch gene the most out of all of them.
Yeah. Now, if I need a tough yard, I'm going with the refrigerator from Little Giants. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, the little Giants.
Yeah.
How did we forget
Rick
that?
Moranis, come on, as a head coach.
Icebox, yeah.
Icebox.
The icebox, man.
Dude,
Yeah.
we forgot all about
Giants. Now I gotta reshuffle my whole list now.
We went through so many football movies, and there's not a bad one. And they just stopped making them. There's no reason to stop making them. Make some more. All these remakes that they do now, make some more.
Yeah, exactly. I just saw the remake for Roadhouse. I'm like,
Right.
yes, I'm here for it. I'm here for
Spider-Man has been remade 13 times with 13 different Spider-Men.
Yeah, Spider-Men. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just been Spider-Man. Batman's been made. How many different Batman have we been through?
At least 5.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like a fraternity of Batmen. They have a handshake.
Exactly. They have their own club. It's like the quarterback club except for superheroes.
Yeah, like the Heisman Club. Exactly. Yeah.
But Superman's been remade, and so many different Supermen. So I mean, why not bring back some of those? I mean, now they did with Longest Yard. Obviously, that was a remake, so you can't go with a remake on that one. But I would love to see like a Little Giants revisited. You know?
Absolutely.
Where all of them are now.
Where they ended up.
Exactly. Where are they now?
Where's Butch? Butch owns a construction job.
He's working for O'Shea Chevrolet in Urbana.
Oh my God.
Oh man. But
I want this for both of you guys though. So I was having a conversation. I'm going to give you guys some quarterbacks, and I want to see what you would say. I was having a conversation with a few buddies of mine.
Okay.
I said, it's kind of funny how you can look at quarterbacks in today's NFL and liken them to quarterbacks 25 to 30 years ago. Not so much their skill set or their physical attributes, but their kind of career archetype. And I made the point that I think right now, Josh Allen is at his point in his career where Peyton Manning was before he won the Super Bowl. He might get one day. He's going to break through the ceiling. He's great. Everybody knows how great he is. He obviously makes mistakes, but I remember Peyton Manning vividly. Did everything he could to win a game, and Mike Vanderjagt missed a field goal in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And that's why they did. And it just happened to Buffalo, and that's what made me think of it. I'm watching that. So, would you guys say that's fair? And then I'm going to give you some other quarterbacks, and I want to know who you would liken them to as a 90s to 2000s quarterback.
Go ahead, Max. You first.
Yeah, no, I would say that's a great analogy for him, where he's going to rack up a whole bunch of stats. He's going to be tremendous in the regular season. Then, like you said, it's going to be something either out of his control or something he didn't control early enough that ultimately causes them, a loss because this is a team sport.
Right.
He's going to do everything in his power to sacrifice himself. He's going to rush the football. He's going to throw it all over the yard, but you can't make receivers catch and you can't open holes for your running backs, right? And like you said, there was some missed opportunities early in that game, especially for Buffalo, where they should have capitalized in the red zone. That would have made a different outcome, and don't put it on the foot of your guy. But I think, that's a very good analogy about Peyton Manning, where Josh Allen can be that, where he'll always be the guy if, right?
Yeah, right.
The other said guy is not there. And Patrick Mahomes is that Tom Brady-esque guy for him right now.
I would agree, actually, as well, because when it comes to Josh Allen, you feel like he's going to get there at some point. Like, you don't feel that way with
he'll break through.
That get stats. You don't feel that way about Kirk Cousins. You don't feel that way about other quarterbacks that put up big numbers. You feel like Josh Allen, just because of how he approaches the game, how serious he takes it, how much he puts himself on the line to help his team get across the finish line and ultimately win. You feel like he's going to get to him at some point. And he felt that way about Peyton too. Obviously, they would they did a great job of surrounding Peyton with a whole bunch of talent. I don't know if they've done that with Josh yet, because he still feels like he has to do everything himself. But Peyton, they did a great job polling back when he was a good GM, and then liking quarterbacks to running backs when they came out the draft. Back when he was senile, or not senile.
Before he was senile, yeah.
Before he was senile.
That was when he did his best work, was when he was senile. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
He put a lot of talent around Peyton. And so if Buffalo does the same kind of game plan for Josh Allen, I see him eventually getting 1, maybe 2. So, yeah, I would agree.
Maybe.
You guys you guys mentioned the Mahomes is Brady, which that was one of the other ones, and part of the reason why I said that about Josh Allen. The next one I have is Justin Herbert is Matthew Stafford. As stats, he's great, but can't get to the playoffs regularly, and he may need a change of scenery to actually get over the top.
I'll take this one. I think Herbert, I would say no, because I think Herbert is probably a run lower than Josh Allen. And so I would liken him more to like a Drew Brees. I think Herbert could win one while putting
better
big
than
numbers.
Well, that was Matt Stafford was his comp.
Yeah, and I think Herbert is more Drew Brees than he is Matt Stafford. I think eventually he has the talent to make people around him better. I don't know if Stafford necessarily had that talent. He had great guys in Calvin Johnson, Megatron, obviously to throw to. But I don't know if he actually made somebody more money when he came to Detroit and then when they left afterwards if they had more success. I think Herbert has that type of talent to make all tides rise with his play. And I think he has the right coach to do that now. And so I think Drew Brees and Sean Payton Herbert and Harbaugh will be the new Payton and Drew Brees.
All right. I mean, because I definitely wasn't. I was definitely not thinking Stafford. I was thinking that Justin Herbert, because he's in the AFC, is going to be like a Dan Marino, right? He's going
break
to have
records.
Break records, have some great stats that you're just going to be like, wow, 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 but never get to the big dance. Because as long as you have Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, right, Patrick Mahomes in your own division, like as long as you have those four guys and whoever else comes into the fray, because look at CJ Stroud coming on strong.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for Justin Herbert to break through that, and also being historically what the Chargers are and how they draft. You know, if you got to take those games on the road, I don't know if you do well. Kind of like the old Miami, like if they went north of the Mason-Dixon line in December, they wasn't winning a game. Like I think if they have to go east and they go in any Buffalo, you know, you go to Baltimore, you go to Cincinnati, you go to Pittsburgh, you go somewhere where you have to take this show on the road. I don't know how well they travel. So I liken him more to Dan Marino than I would probably a Matt Stafford. Like you said, it would have to be a change of venue versus with the current status of things. Now, if they control themselves and everybody has to come to LA, different story. And hopefully that fan base comes up to where it could actually be a home field advantage, because every time the Chargers play, whoever they're playing takes over that stadium. So you need to create that buzz for them as well.
Lamar Jackson is Randall Cunningham and Michael Vick.
2.0. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think Lamar actually breaks through. I think Lamar
he becomes Doug Williams.
Is a better Cam Newton. I think
I think when he breaks through, it's the third person I put for that was Steve Young.
Yeah.
Okay. I like Steve Young. I think I like Steve Young more than I like Randall. Because I think he has that type of dynamic game. And I think Steve Young, he had to get over all the stuff that Joe Montana did preceding him. And it took him a while to get there, but eventually he did. Lamar doesn't necessarily have that same kind of pressure over top of him, but I could see him having a similar arc as Steve Young, winning multiple MVPs, putting up great numbers, and finally getting the one. Whereas Randall Cunningham and who else did you mention?
Michael Vick.
Michael Vick
never,
and Steve Young.
They both went to NFC championships. Cunningham and Vick did, right? But never really got to the big show. So I think Lamar eventually does. I don't think he does it this weekend, but I think he does eventually.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the Steve Young comp. And I know we said 90s to 2000s, so Doug Williams obviously would not apply in that situation.
I guess Cam Newton wouldn't either. That's too recent, but yeah.
Yeah, well, but Cam is technically in the 2000s.
Yeah, that's true.
And Cam did make it to the big show, right? And Cam just lost it to Peyton Manning, funny enough. Or whatever we want to call it, the Peyton Osweiler, Brock.
Oh, that year. Yep.
Combo year.
Lost to Von Miller.
I'll say it was a Von Miller Super Bowl. I mean, let's just face it. But yeah, I think Lamar breaks through. and that's why I likened it more to Doug Williams, because the adversity that he has to battle, like he's battled stigmatisms, and being pigeonholed since he's gotten in the league. I mean, and to the degree that he chose not to run his 40 because he just did not even want that to be an additional
painted in that corner. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, also contract, how much he had to fight for his contract to get what he's worth. And then, of course, him actually proving himself more than worthy of it, as we talk about, because Trey and I on our chat earlier today, we're talking about that. So I think, and that's why I really like, even though I had to put my rat bird, hat aside and be unbiased. Lamar is just a fantastic all around person, not only just a player, but as a young man, the way he handles himself. Everybody wants to put this stigma to him, but you've never heard anything bad about him. Hell, his mom.
Even as a Browns fan, it's hard to not root for him.
Yeah, it's hard not to do it.
I hate that he's on the Ravens because he's as likable an athlete that he comes off. Like he's as authentic an athlete, I guess.
Yeah, if he could be on 28 other teams, I'd be rooting for him nonstop. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I should say 29, because if he was on the Steelers, I'd definitely be rooting for him. But anybody else in the AFC North, I would not be rooting. But you can't help it. And he has a likable person, and he's authentic. He's transparent, and he's just a real dude. And he does everything that he's supposed to do to help his team win. And you got to appreciate that type of mentality. He doesn't have to just talk it. He goes out and walks it first before he talks about it. And so that's why, especially when we're getting this MVP race and everybody that's in there, I mean, it should be just a no-brainer that you just hand him the award because of what he's done and how he's fought for 2 years now to get a contract that's commiseratory to what he's worth, and the fact that he's going out and proving it. He didn't sit on his laurels. He didn't say, I'm paid. Let me just sit back and enjoy this.
You see what happens, there's been that trend that when the quarterback gets paid, the team tanks.
Yeah, hello, Daniel Jones. Hello, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, hello, Joe Flacco. When he got his big contract after that Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, Joe Flacco. Yeah. Joe Burrow right now. I mean,
Joe Burrow's my next one. So I put for Joe Burrow, Steve McNair.
Ooh, Eric McNair. I got to ponder on this one now.
That's I don't know if I would say Steve McNair. I think I would say.
And my caveat is if he breaks through and wins a championship, it's Steve McNair. And then I also had Steve Young for him and Troy Aikman.
I see him more Drew Bledsoe right now.
Who you said?
Drew Bledsoe. And then if he wins, if he does break through, I think Kurt Warner. Although Kurt Warner's career is so unique. I'm just talking about when Kurt Warner was actually good, that
St. Louis Rams
6 year. He was good, then he was bad, then he was good again, and then
yeah.
But like Kurt Warner, when he in his prime, even his prime is hard to define. But like when he was playing good football,
he had primes at Rams, he had primes at the Cardinals. He just didn't have a prime at New York.
Right. And I'll say when I started talking about Burrow with McNair, the conversation kind of slid into. I actually think that their style of play is similar. Steve ran a little bit more than Burrow, but they both operated well in the pocket and got beat up a lot.
Yeah.
And we're just gamers and winners.
McNair he won. He always was a winner. And I think Burrow brings that to the Bengals, obviously, because that
wasn't that before he got there.
Trash franchise has been trash for a while.
Burrow
has actually turns into
hillbillies. You can say it, Trey.
Hey, tone down. Remember, my father did play for and went to a Super Bowl with said team.
This is true. This is not those Bengals, though, man. Like since 2000 afterwards, Bengals just leave a nasty.
And you know what? The 14 fans that remain from that era, they deserve every bit of prosperity that the Bengals fans get. But the 14 million they've gained since they draft Joe Burrow can kick rocks.
Well, all right. How about this? I'll give you a comp. Why wouldn't we think Joe Burrow is more like Drew Brees?
You can bring it back to him.
I think Joe Burrow has a. I think he's got a cannon. Again, this is where it's kind of started to go into their physical attributes.
Yeah.
And so, and Trey, when you brought it up earlier, a lot of people forget about Drew Brees' failure years in San Diego before going to New Orleans, and Burrow hasn't had that yet.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, they drafted Phillip Rivers because Brees was bad until that contract year, and then Brees got hurt.
He played good ball, but he just wasn't. And then he got hurt. I think that shoulder injury is what was the precipice for them drafting Phillip Rivers.
No, Rivers was already on the roster before he got hurt.
Phil sat for 2 years before he started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Phil sat for 2 years, and then they traded him after the injury, and that's when he went to New Orleans.
It was the last game of the season. Brees got hurt, and it was going to be New Orleans or Miami. And he was really good that last season. Then he got hurt, and it made San Diego's decision easy. But that was
the injury
more why Brees wasn't kind of my thinking.
People didn't think Brees would recover well enough to play and have the career that he's had.
Right.
Burrow has had 2 season-ending injuries
already
in 4 years. And this was he came in. Didn't he have a torn ACL on his record before in college?
He had something with a knee in college, yeah.
He had something, And so, I mean, that's 3 injuries in like the last 5 or 6 years for him. And you wonder if he's going to be able to, especially since they've done everything they could to improve that line, and it still doesn't seem to be helping out that much.
I mean, they bought enough things to say that they
bought.
I don't know if they actually.
They bought Orlando Brown. Jonah Williams hasn't been who they thought he was going to be. They
literally named the stadium to be able to pay for all those things.
Yeah,
they sold the naming rights to the stadium to be able to pay for those things.
They still have the smallest scouting staff in the NFL. So,
I got 3 more, and then I know we got some Big Man Chronicles. I'm actually excited to see Trey's got something whipped up for you. Did you guys already talk about this, or is this?
I think I did mention this, but he doesn't know I'm gonna bring it up again. So it'll be like a mini surprise.
So I got 3 more quarterbacks real quick. Dak Prescott is Carson Palmer.
I'm with it.
Yeah,
spot on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jared Goff is Brad Johnson.
Ooh, that is a very, very intriguing one.
I feel like Jared Goff is Matthew Stafford.
It's like the Spider-Man thing when they played in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. What are you talking about?
Dude, yeah.
Oh my God. I will go with the Stafford. I would agree with the Stafford. That is a spot on one. Yeah, we could throw Brad Johnson out of there. That's Matthew Stafford. They're literally
Stafford with kneecaps, coach.
Yeah, with kneecap coach. He has way more talent around him. But
last one I have is Brock Purdy as Chad Pennington.
He's better than Chad.
Yeah, he's better than Chad.
Actually,
Chad was good. I like Chad.
Yeah, but
Chad, quarterback who has been in a more fortuitous situation
with Kyle Shanahan.
I can't name a quarterback. I mean, outside of, and this is not an exact comparison.
Okay.
And this is one that has zero to do with really skill set. So for me, the Jets had a really good season. Pennington blew out his arm. Purdy last year, elbow issues, now coming back. And then the real test is going to be next year and going forward, because Chad proved that he couldn't carry that load by himself, ended up in Miami. Once San Fran gets into salary cap issues, I think we'll see the real Brock Purdy stand up.
So I think Purdy, and do not kill me for this because I am not comparing actual career arcs. I think the situation is eerily similar to the situation that Tom Brady walked into in the Patriots. See, I knew you got to have some nuance here, fellas. Walk with me.
Arc.
Walk with me.
Arc, and right there, that you lost me at Arc.
No, see, I'm not comparing he will not win.
You're comparing like draft positions. Like it was.
No, not even draft positions. Like just somebody who does not have a lot of arm talent, so to speak, but is very accurate, and it's just he comes across as somebody who does exactly what the coach needs him to do, and that was early. That was early Tom Brady,
or Terry Bradshaw.
Or Terry Bradshaw. Like
But
he has
said 90s to 2000s.
Yeah. But as he's describing it, I'm thinking that's Terry Bradshaw. Like, won big games, won a lot of big games, was successful, but just played his role within his team. It's obviously not 90s, 2000s, but to be fair, that could be Troy Aikman too.
Okay. I like Troy. Troy
would be a better comp where he has to have the tools around him and he can navigate.
Troy came into a situation where they sucked until they got
until they drafted a whole bunch of really good players to be around him.
That's what I'm saying. Purdy came into a tailor-made situation, and I can't name one other person outside of maybe Jimmy G who came into a great situation in order to succeed. Or
I can if you want to think about it hard enough.
Who? Ben Roethlisberger?
Boy 7.
Yeah, I knew he was going to say that.
Yeah.
It's not a knock on him, but when it was Tommy Maddox, right?
Yeah, Tommy.
I mean, you're right.
Yeah,
Ben came into not a knock on him situation,
but then he elevated after
quarterback. Well, actually, 4th string in training camp, and then by process of elimination and injuries, Ben got thrust into the starting position, right? Because he was behind Charlie. Charlie had the collarbone injury. He was behind Brian St. Pierre, who was behind Tommy Maddox. Yeah. Brian gets injured, and now Ben is now the backup to Tommy. Tommy goes down second game of the season against Baltimore. Ben almost brings us back, and then
they didn't lose another game, right?
Yeah, didn't lose a game until the AFC Championship. Spygate.
So yes,
Spygate.
Purdy, the situation that they walked into is very similar. Him and Ben. So actually, I would say
defense, solid running game,
great running game,
great coaching,
great Hall of Fame offensive liner. Yeah.
And,
so yeah. I think actually that's
Ben would be a good comp, but he still has
as far as situation now. He may not.
He doesn't have the skills that Ben has, but situation.
No, I would say the skill set. Roethlisberger he's a far superior talent, arm talent, skill set than
and just all around athlete. It would just disgust me to see how good Ben was at everything he touched.
You also say Joe Flacco as well.
Yeah,
Joe Flacco came to Baltimore.
He's another one because Troy Smith was supposed to be the starter that season, and Troy got strep throat.
Yeah,
and missed preseason.
Had they already released Kyle Bolaire? I think
Bowler was gone.
He was already gone.
Bowler was gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was gonna be Troy Smith, and then he got strep throat. And by the way, Troy Smith, a guy who was just born at the wrong time. Troy Smith in this era of the NFL would have had a career in the NFL.
We got another guy in Cordell Stewart who would have been.
Yes.
Cordell would have been.
Oh, he would have ate there.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he might have been a Hall of Famer. Yeah. But
Slash, he just would have been Cordell. Stu.
He would have been no Slash.
So, yeah, exactly. Stir the pot when he hits the end zone. Lamar Jackson style. Yeah.
But
enough shenanigans. Let's talk food.
We're gonna talk some food.
That was a good exercise. That was a good mental exercise. I had to go back to my tops playing card days to get some of these answers.
It's hard to remember some of those guys.
Upper deck.
Clear.
You know what was funny is when I was going through it, I couldn't think of one comp for Brett Favre. The closest that I got, but he's not playing anymore. I mean, like today's people who are playing right now. I couldn't come up with one. Honestly, Josh Allen was the closest that I got.
The closest, yeah.
He
plays that type of reckless ball that just gets hit, gets back up.
Can throw 4 interceptions in a single game and just not think
actually,
about it.
Josh Allen might be more Brett Favre.
Right now.
Actually, you are all the way right. And Burrow actually might be Aaron Rodgers. But let's not rehash all this. Let's not rehash all this.
It'll be fun. We'll have to put some of these up on Twitter and let other people.
Let them weigh in as well. That'd be a good interaction for you guys.
All right, Maximus. So I brought this to your attention. Our friend group, the forum, I brought it to their attention a couple of nights ago, and I asked Brody, which of these 4 would you pick?
This was tough, but I settled on one.
Oh man. See.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It is my favorite meal of the day. Today,
you can have breakfast for dinner. Breakfast for dinner is like one of my favorite dinners.
Yes. Oof.
So I am firmly in the number 2 camp. You know what put me over the top?
What was that?
First of all, I'm mad none of these have biscuits and gravy.
By the way,
that upsets
as a good
me.
Southern boy, I'm a little disappointed. But I will say this: cousin number 3 redeemed himself when he put the cheddar grits on the plate. So I mean, he has some Southern sensibilities on his mind.
There's nothing. All that protein for grandma that grandma gave us because she's worried about my protein intake and she wants me to be as strong as possible.
And she wants you to be dairy free because ain't no cheese on them eggs.
That's my baby Hercules.
Grandma.
She knows I'm lactose intolerant and I can't do too much. She didn't want me on the toilet all day. She was very concerned about how much time I spend on the toilet after that lactose. But
go run to the toilet.
What put number 2 over the top was the mimosa, which
that's not a mimosa. That's not a mimosa.
Glass is it's a mimosa.
It's a mimosa glass.
It's a mimosa glass.
No, because a mimosa is supposed to be in a champagne flute. I'm gonna get bougie on y'all real quick. Mimosa is supposed to be
Grandma only had glasses.
Grandma just gave you the water glass that she turned into the juice cup. That's all it is. That's just
if it had the jelly jar.
Aunt Jemima. You don't see no ripple. You don't see no shampipple. Nothing. No little sparkling prosecco. No Moscato in the background. It's Aunt Jemima for the pancakes and Simply Orange juice to wash down all that protein.
Well, even still, look at the skin. It's the only one with any kind of beverage on there. Like you gonna
Max said you are uncultured swine.
You're gonna have me, myself, and Irene. What is Jim Carrey had the cotton mouth at the end?
Oh
yeah. unless you go with grandma, you're gonna have that cotton mouth.
It depends on how soupy those grits are.
Yeah, I don't think the grits were soupy for cousin, but he lost me when he went with the Eggo French toast sticks.
The Eggo, that's what Jordy eats every day.
And the Pillsbury crack the can.
He got lazy.
Yeah, he got real lazy. You could have thrown toast on there. You could have thrown anything else.
Right.
But you went with the other toaster product. I would rather see the toaster strudel on there with it than those.
See, mine was 4 until I saw the shrimp. Shrimp's not a breakfast food. You can't mix shrimp with breakfast.
Here's where I lean towards Auntie. Number 1, Auntie had the shrimp and grits in a bowl. That's what that is. That's shrimp and grits in that bowl. That is a Southern delicacy. Look at that. That's shrimp and grits.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
those are some big sausages.
Look.
Yeah, and then the hot link sausages with the striping to make sure that it cooks evenly and that snap. You got the nice center cut bacon there in the middle. And then you got some glorious cheesy eggs.
Did she just
the cheesy eggs? Those are the best looking eggs. Those are the best looking eggs.
Are the best. But she lost me on the Eggos. Like just straight up 8 Eggos on top of each other. I don't need that.
The waffles. But I will say this: her butter looks better than the other ones. It's not as pale as the other ones. That's real. That's Kerrygold, pure Irish butter right there.
It looks like it's frozen butter. Like it hasn't even started to melt. At least grandma melted the butter a little bit.
Grandma's and Mama's definitely. She just threw syrup on it to give it a tan. That's all it did on that bottom right one.
Grandma number 2 for the win for me. You going with Mama, Max?
I'm going with Auntie. I got Auntie.
Oh, you like the hot links and
the hot links and shrimp and grits.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the cheese eggs. The cheese eggs put you over the top.
I can knock all of the other carbs off. I don't need the pancakes. I don't need cinnamon buns, French toast sticks, or Eggo waffles. Yeah. Give me the sausage, bacon, cheese, eggs, and shrimp and grits.
I don't need sweets in the morning. I like grease and cheese and protein. I won't say meat because you guys are immature. So I like say protein.
Don't eat your meat for breakfast.
That's right. You double dogging? You guys
are so immature. I knew I couldn't even say that. I knew it.
I'm gonna go with 2 for that picture, but let me just hit you with this real quick.
Oh, I mean, simplistic, artful, just
maybe a little hash brown. Hash brown, put it over the top.
So a hash brown casserole from Cracker Barrel would put that over the top.
Crispy though. I can't have it. I can't have it
not
raw.
soggy, yeah, you need the brown. You need to be browned on top. Man.
Oh, it's got
or something. That would set that off. But I need more than one egg. I need some cheese in it.
Yeah, that's you order 4 of those plates and we're talking.
Yeah, or you just do an over medium and you just throw the piece of American cheese and just let it melt on top. I don't need it scrambled in.
I don't need it over easy. The cheese sets everything
over medium.
Off.
Over medium. That means you give it one
over medium.
Over.
No, I like the over medium. I can ride with the over medium. Yeah.
So before we get out of here, because I got to ask you, have you been to Japanese steakhouse, Max?
Absolutely. Love hibachi.
So you know the egg yolk sauce. The egg yolk sauce they do? Not the yum, but the egg yolk.
I didn't know about this either, Max. He put me up on something I had no clue about.
We got to talk about this. I need to be enlightened.
So for your shrimp, or if you get scallops, they have what's called an egg yolk sauce. It's like an ice cream scoop. It's like egg yolk and cheese and all kinds of goodness mixed together. They put it on that flat top, get it nice and crispy, right? Mm-hmm. Delicious. Put it over your rice, over your shrimps, over your steaks, over your chickens. Just get it all. So I love a burger with an egg on it. First, you're going to have to try this delicacy from the hibachi and see how great it is. But I saw this crazy, wonderful son of a gun put this egg yolk sauce on a burger with some bacon, a little tomato. Oh, it was fantastic.
That sounds like a delicious brunch burger right there.
Yeah.
All right, Max.
I have to go ask Benihana now. Do they make it? Because I got a Benihana down the street. I'm like, hey, listen, guys, egg yolk sauce, yay or nay? And if you tell me no, I'm hanging up on you right now. I'm calling before.
You're dead to me. You're dead to me.
I don't even know your brand. I don't even know your brand anymore. I'm going to choke that now. Thank you.
All right. Before we get out of here, Max, we got the conference championship games this weekend on Sunday. Makes me sad. The matchups are going to be fantastic, but the football season is winding down. We only have 3 football games left. First game, KC versus Baltimore.
Yeah.
How do you see that going? Which quarterback is going to pit which team over the top when it comes to Mahomes and Lamar? And will we have another Chiefs Super Bowl appearance, or will Lamar break through?
I'm breaking the glass this year for Lamar. Okay. I think this team, as well-rounded as they are, and I'm not even going to say that it's going to be Lamar Jackson as the quarterback that leads them through it. I think he does his job, and I think he has another great performance. My X factor is on the defense, and it's at their inside linebacker position. Between Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith, Travis Kelce does not eat. He goes hungry. He goes heartless for Tay-Tay.
No Benihana.
Yeah, no Benihana for him. There's no beating heart. There's no choo-choo onion. None of that. I think that's what's going to be the difference in this game. I think between those two and Kyle Hamilton at the safety position, I just don't think they have the offensive weapons, because you're going to have to be Isaiah Pacheco heavy in the run game, because the run game is going to be key in this game. And you don't have that pressure relief valve outside of Kelce, who they actually have individual personnel who could take Kelce out of the game. They only have to deploy one, and you still got 2 left. Whether it's Kyle Hamilton on him in coverage or whether it's Patrick Queen on him in coverage, the other ones get to roam and they get to eat. And I don't know if that offensive line can handle the pass rush off the edge and the blitz. They've had 2 decent games. They haven't had 2 great games, because I don't think the Bills' edge rush was really that good, to affect. And they still even got to Pat and forced him out of the pocket. So I think it's really going to come down. That defense can neutralize that Chiefs offense. And I don't think the Chiefs defense has enough to stop Lamar and his weapons in that game. So I think the Ravens win that one, and they'll be going to the Super Bowl again.
Okay. The evening game. Detroit has been a great story this year. Their fans have been absolutely amazing. That you can hear them through the TV. Whereas we got San Francisco, which I think a lot of people, including me, I think I have too many cousins that are fans of the 49ers, and they just happen to be my most annoying cousins. And so I want them to lose. But this is also going to be a great matchup. 49ers are the odds-on favorite to not only win this game, but take the title home? How do you see this going?
Hold on. Before you answer that, Max,
Yeah.
keep in mind the conspiracies out there about the colors for the Super Bowl. Don't tell me 49ers, if anything, isn't that silly? Isn't that
It is the most
crazy?
insane thing. I saw that earlier this week, and I was like, please stop. Please stop.
Right.
Please stop. I was like, if you think there's a script or there's the conspiracy that this is supposed to happen, we need Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl to get more attention. It's the Super Bowl. Before and after Taylor, it will always be the Super Bowl. It doesn't.
I want to know the person.
Vegas. So it doesn't. We don't need any extra Swifties coming in to give us a little more notoriety. We've already been the big dog of all professional sports. Yes, and we've already had the pop culture infusion over the years between players dating other celebrities and everything else. Like it pales in comparison, you know.
Right.
And I think that's where I kind of look at it. It's silly. It's funny that like you said, the colors come into it, because the color scheme is a recent development, you know, because before it was just those numbers. It was just red, white, red, silver, and blue. That was it. That was the colors for forever. Now you're starting to add this. I might as well say, you know what, the Phoenix Suns are going to be in the Super Bowl, because that's what the colors are. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Looks like they're Valley alternate throwback jerseys.
If that was accurate, I want to know the person who ran it by Ernest Biner and said, you know what you're going to do? You're going to fumble going into the end zone. So the Browns and your family's going to be hated, and you're going to get death threats. And that's what the script is, okay? I know that your yearly salary is only $114,000 because it's 1986, but this is the script, and you're going to do it.
Got to deal with it. This is the phase where you jump on the conveyor belt. No, but to make a pick, I would probably like you said, my favorite cousins are Lions fans, and I know how long-suffering they are. But I also think Jared Goff's been there, and this team really rallies around Jared Goff, and they follow Dan Campbell, and they have some skills. Yes, I know their secondary, is questionable, and oh my God, what are we going to do if Debo and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle are healthy? But I mean, I look at the way that Green Bay's offensive line, who was pretty much nobody's. I mean, let's be frank about it. Handled that defensive line for the San Francisco 49ers for majority of that game. And they were winning that game. And Brock Purdy was terrible in that game. And Dan Campbell and company is aggressive defensively with Aaron Glenn. They love to press. They love to get inside of your head. And that's where I feel like they're going to follow what Green Bay did, except for they're going to capitalize on it because they have some better talent.
I likened that Green Bay San Francisco game to when you watch soccer or the real football and there's a tie game, but you can tell that one team was obviously better than the other one. Green Bay was the better team that day, and San Fran just happened to pull it out. And so I think I agree with you. I think Detroit has the tools offensively, the way their rookies have been playing with Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta. They're going to be great for years to come. They have the best O-line in football. And like you said, that experience that Jared Goff had, taking that Rams team to the Super Bowl, you can't overestimate that enough. And the impact that it has on a team that's looking to make that next step. They're going to lean on Goff hard, and I think Goff is capable of leading them through to the Super Bowl. Now, they're going to have 49ers going to have something to say about it, obviously, with Nick Bosa and Fred Warner and Greenlaw. Those are, I think, the X factors for the 49ers, because they need to be able to force turnovers in order to get into this game and win. But as long as Goff takes care of the ball and that O-line holds up, because he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league when he doesn't get pressure and one of the worst when he does, I think that's what it comes down to, and how well that O-line, which is one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL, holds up against that 49ers D-line.
And my prime beefeater matchup for both of these games is Penei Sewell versus Nick Bosa.
Yep.
That's the elite. And Frank Ragnow versus Javon Hargraves. Like that.
Sewell's an athlete. He can move. He can move his feet.
That's why it's going to be a prime matchup, And I think it's like, you see people doing like those projections, like the Dino Wars, like when they pit the different dinosaurs against each other, and they give it, or was it dinosaur death match or something like that? That's what I equate this to. You're going to have, a raptor versus, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and which one's going to ultimately succeed in that. But that's the matchup I'm going to be watching. Of the two games, that's my prime number one matchup in the game, followed by Hargraves and Ragnow in the middle. Because Chris Jones versus Linderbaum, Oweh versus Jawan Taylor. Right. But those two, and that's why that game's the night game, because both these trenches are.
That's the heavyweight bout.
Yeah, and it's good that Aiden Hudson is not going against Trent Williams. That would be that'd be a bad day for him.
Eat him up.
So I think when you look at that, I have to shift that way. That for the Lions, how Penei Sewell blocks Nick Bosa is going to be the difference in this game.
Okay, give me a score. 49ers Lions. I'm gonna write this down too. Let me get my pen because I want to see how good.
Give me a 30-24 score. 30-24.
30-24 Lions.
Yeah.
So we're hitting the over. Noted.
Lions. That window. Okay, and give me the KC Baltimore game.
KC Baltimore. I think it might be similar to what they had last week, 31-17, somewhere in that area.
So you think Baltimore handles them well? Like
that Baltimore defense is good
enough, because I think they're very explosive, and if Lamar gets a bead, they put points up in bunches. Because I think when you look at like last week, like it was tough sledding that first quarter, and that first half of that game. Going into 10-10 and into the fourth quarter, 17-10 was the lead, and then all of a sudden 31-10 is the game. And it's like
they got out of hand real quick.
Showing up for good old college try, but I think that's similar to this. You're going to see a chess match. You're going to see one team score early, and then kind of the other team adjust and just kind of shut them out the rest of the game, and just pressure them. And I think Kansas City goes up on them early, because I think the jitters will be there for a championship game. But then I think they stabilize, stay within striking distance, and then it's going to be two really, really clutch touchdowns that are going to happen in consecutive drives that ultimately put it out of reach for KC.
I'm going to write all this down, Max, and see what your Nostradamus football skills are like.
Yeah, exactly. I tested off the crystal ball. Might have also been just a glass snow globe that I had to just put away, because I'm just finishing putting away my Christmas decorations. But
he took a look at the script. He found the script.
Exactly. Yeah, Keegan Michael Key sent me the script a couple days ago.
Well, as always,
Max, appreciate it, man. Yeah, appreciate it.
Coming on, brother. Have a good rest of your day.
My pleasure. This is the greatest 30 minutes that turned into an hour and 20 minutes ever.
No, right?
Thank you.